imperative. Young, dumb American, arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, cannot describe it. Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. Hit every bar, even though my bar has been the hardest. The scars on my face, and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. I can show you where
the type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people. I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson. I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yo, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. I guess I'll lit, I guess I'll bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve. Even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new intro. The boys are back, hanging with my guy. January 31st already. Pinky in the house. Tuesday. How you doing, my guy?
Oh, baby. I'm doing good. Jayhawks are on tonight. Got my whiskey. Got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of sports to talk about. I'm ready, baby.
I like it. I like it. Where do you want to jump off at today? You got some nonsense to discuss, or are we just going straight to sports tonight?
Yeah, let's just, I mean, the nonsense is probably the Royal Rumble, to be honest.
I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. We do love it, but it is nonsense for sure.
Did you catch up on it at all?
Yeah.
Did you watch it, or you just like checked in on like what happened?
No, I pretty much watched it.
Okay. All right, good. So let's start there. Let's talk a little Royal Rumble.
Talk a little WWE, a little wrestling.
I thought I always enjoy the Rumble. It's one of the few events like, it's scripted, but when you get, 30 different people in a ring, anything can happen, and it normally does. So I thought, I think the men's was first, and that, Cody Rhodes coming back for his first match, and he's number 30. Like, there wasn't much, like, you knew Cody was going to win at that point.
Well, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that storyline, to be honest with you, but whatever. They really want him to have the championship against Roman Reigns somehow, it seems like.
He's a big. A lot of people like Cody Rhodes. He's got a big following.
He's gone up and down for sure, but he's definitely a big fan favorite now. Whatever. I thought the way Brock Lesnar got tossed so gently out of the ring was kind of ridiculous. I was like, all right. You always got to have that one like weird one that stays in way longer than they should. That'd be that Carragano guy.
Newer guy, yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of kept seeming to still be there somehow. That was kind of weird, and I wasn't a big fan of the whole ending with Logan Paul and how that came about. Although the rope to rope midair chops to each other, that was pretty killer.
Dude, his whole chest was like red after that. It was nasty.
I mean, those rings are what? They're like 15 by 15 or something like that.
I mean, that's a heck of a jump, man.
Yeah. So you're jumping, a good off that top rope, 7 feet up and out, trying to hit somebody in midair. That's. I'll give you some credit. That's athletic.
Whatever anybody's thoughts on Logan Paul is, that dude is athletic. Like,
I'll give him that. I will give him that.
Even in SummerSlam, I think last year when he fought and you saw him like jump off the turnbuckle and he like went almost across the whole ring.
Yeah,
it was like, wow, this guy,
impressive. Impressive.
It's impressive
he seems to be looking like he might be more and more likely to be part of that regular cast there, with him just recently fighting Roman Reigns for the title and now being there for Royal Rumble, and we might see him a little more regularly going forward.
Let's see. I did like Brock Lesnar losing his mind. That was cool.
Oh yeah, love that. Who doesn't?
After he got thrown out so easily, and then
the Beast Incarnate shows his face.
And I'm not a fan of Corbin, so when he just like immediately Corbin runs down, he's like, "I'm gonna beat the crap out of you."
I love who came in after Corbin. Was it Seth Rollins, who then just like saw him laying there on the ground, like picked him up and threw him in the ring just so somebody could like throw him out?
I want to say it was Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
it might have been someone else, but I know they just like grabbed him, threw him in the ring, got in, threw him out.
That was nice. That was nice. I'm a big Seth freaking Rollins fan. I like some Seth.
So obviously we'll get Cody Rhodes since he won. He'll fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That we'll have to talk about that in a sec. But then they had the women's one, and again, the moment they put Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan 1-2, I was like, one of these girls are winning. Like,
it kind of felt that way for sure.
Because the other biggest stars, Bianca or Charlotte Flair, and neither one of them were in the Royal Rumble.
So no, and neither was why am I drawing Alexa Bliss, because she was fighting Bianca, so she wasn't going to be
correct.
In there, the man, Becky Lynch, she's got stuff going on already, so she doesn't need to like win that per se, because there's other storylines they're pursuing there.
And Rhea Ripley literally hung out for like an hour, and like you'd see her just on the mat, nobody's even near her for like 20. It was at least 20 or 30 minutes. Like she's not doing anything, and girls are just letting her hang out. They had a couple girls. There's not as many female wrestlers, so they had a lot of their NXT girls. They had 5 or 6 NXT wrestlers that came to the Royal Rumble, and that's kind of cool. Like always seeing like the next next big thing
for sure
showing up. So Rhea Ripley winning. I mean, obviously, I would have liked to seen it more of like Ripley just like throwing everybody out of the ring, but she got a couple, and then she just kind of laid there for 30 minutes, and then she happened to be there at the end. Like it wasn't. I don't know. It was just not inspiring.
I get you.
And then the only other thing the Roman Reigns match, man. It's just I don't like Roman Reigns. I really haven't liked him in a long time. The Bloodline storyline is so played out.
Well, I think we just saw the next evolution of that storyline, though. There's going to be a ripple there, and one of those Usos could be teaming up with KO and Mr. Sami Zayn. It looks like possibly there's a rift there now.
I just and every time he wins his match, it's like the same thing. Every time you beat him up a lot, he comes on and beats the crap out of you for a while, and then all of a sudden, he hits you with that one move, and then you're out.
Well, surprised there wasn't any interaction involvement from outside forces. So
which there normally is. Which they save that for the end, because then they handcuffed KO and then beat try to get Sami Zayn to beat him with a chair, and he wouldn't do it. it was underwhelming overall.
I like after the match more than during the match, to be honest with you, just because of that rift forming. Seeing that, you can see the split now. So hopefully they start breaking that up, and this will be the end of the bloodline, the start of the end of the beginning of the end.
That'd be nice, man. I'd love. I mean, it's just, and again, even if they don't end the bloodline, I don't feel like in today's age you can have a guy keep the belt for like 3 years. Like there's nothing interesting
or at least
about that.
Lose it and get it back, once or twice. Like,
I mean, he's never going to be like the 20-time champion like Ric Flair if they don't ever have him lose it.
Right. So. Exactly. Doesn't make it seem like there's a lot of good wrestling. It's like everybody else is way over here, and then Roman Reigns is so good he's way over here by himself. Like, what's the point? Like, okay.
Yeah, if you don't have Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley or Seth Rollins or any of these guys, actually do anything. Oh man, I think you showed it and I hit it. I'll hide that one. Come on, buddy. That bloodlines is so played out. That whole,
we are not on the same level, Kamani. We are not on the same level with the bloodline. We're ready to see new life.
I don't think there's anything interesting about any of the Usos at all, except for their cousins with The Rock. I mean, it's about the most interesting thing about them, for me. Anyways.
Jeez. Well, I think that about sums up that nonsense. I don't think anything else is really worth discussing on the Royal Rumble.
But I did get my wife. I tortured my wife. She watched it with me. My daughter watched it with me for like 10 minutes, and then she was gone. And it was my wife, and she was like, I guess we're watching wrestling.
Okay. All right. There you go. What's next on the docket, good sir?
Well, I know you wanted to mention the Australian Open. I was not open. I wasn't privy to what happened, who won. I am in the dark, man. So you got to educate me.
So I'm just going to kind of make it quick. I'm not going to say a whole lot about it. Because I didn't get to watch as much as maybe I normally would. Australian Open times are a little bit different of when those matches are on. Real late at night, real early in the morning, and then reruns middays kind of stuff. So, but I was able to watch enough. Novak Djokovic won. He is now extending his overall Masters lead. Masters. That's not right. They're not Masters. That was foolish and nonsensical. He's extending his overall majors lead on Nadal and Federer as well. And at this point, the way he's playing compared to Nadal, Nadal's starting to look broken down. He's starting to have a lot of injuries. He's trying to tough it out every time he's out there in one of these majors. Novak, he looks like he's playing pretty good still, and he could get another 3 or 4 possibly before it's all said and done, and that would make it very hard for anybody to argue anybody else when it comes to greatest men's tennis player of all time. So I think that is definitely worth keeping an eye on as we go into the tennis season here, and the next majors come up with the French Open, which is Nadal's playground. So that could be very interesting. Then you got Wimbledon, the U.S. Open later on in the year. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Novak can do. Could he get the Grand Slam in 1 year? That would be interesting to see if he can somehow win the French over Nadal. Then there could be a chance, because he loves Wimbledon, and he likes the hard courts too. So the U.S. Open's right up his alley. So definitely, I think it's a cool storyline. I think it's worth keeping an eye open on. We're lucky enough to grow up during some of the greatest athletes of all times, and obviously that'll probably change as we get older and more generational talent comes up and the games evolve. But we grew up with Jordan. We grew up with your Marinos and Elways, and now we're seeing everything else that's in the NFL. We're seeing the 3 greatest men's tennis players, arguably of all time, playing against each other at the same time. How often do you get to see something like that? So I think it's, a really cool thing to, if you like sports, be aware of.
I mean, I've always liked tennis. I like attempting to play tennis. I am not good at it, but I don't think my knees move as well laterally as you need to be a decent tennis player, but I do enjoy it. So it is fun to watch because I know, the talent and athleticism it takes to be able to have the hand-eye coordination, hit that ball, hit it with speed, and be able to put it where you want it. So,
yeah, that is very true. The other thing I want to mention real quick here, and I feel bad that I didn't say anything last week so that people could have paid more attention. But the X Games happened over the weekend. Love me some X Games. I am bummed that you don't get to see more than half of what they used to have. And I wish it would come back to that, where it was more of a 2-week kind of thing like the Olympics, or at least a 1-week long thing where you get to watch some stuff every night of the week. There's a lot of cool things out there that they did, that they have, that they used to have, that would be very cool to see stay or come back. So they have been bought out. Let me make sure I get this right here. I did grab this. MSP Sports Capital bought them from ESPN back in October. So ESPN no longer owns the X Games. So we could see something going forward that, might be a little bit different. I feel like it's gotten a little bit stale. That's why ESPN was willing to sell it at this time. There's not as much hype around it. There's not as much involvement, it feels like, from outside forces. So I think if they were to do something a little bit more broad, bring some of those other events back in for the X Games as a whole, so summer and winter games, there's things that they could do again. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. But I always love watching it, seeing what they can do, slope style, half pipe, big air, all that good stuff. I do miss some of the things that, if they still do them, they don't show them anymore. I'm drawing a blank on the Skier X maybe, or something like that. The event was called, where it was just a straight track down the hill. Obviously there's some turns and some jumps and whoops and stuff like that, but it was, how fast can you get down this Moto X type track on skis while you're going against 5 other dudes? They'd run like 6 at a time. Love that. And they did it on skis and snowboards, men's and women's. Don't see that as much. It is in the Olympics, so kind of weird that the Olympics has it now and X Games doesn't. There's things like in the summer X Games, and I can't remember what it's called right now. I'm drawing a blank, but they basically did luge down hills in a track, and they were on these like basically longboards, just cruising down like luge guys, like. So that was super awesome. Would love to see that come back. Little things like that. I don't know if it ever will. Be interesting to see what happens with the X Games going forward, but I will definitely be watching it every year when it comes on. Winter and summer every year. Gotta love it.
I just, I don't remember seeing any marketing around it on ESPN or.
There wasn't really. I just happen to know what time of year to be looking for it, and so then I'll sit down and watch it. But
I didn't realize it was happening until I have a buddy that works at a hotel up in Aspen, and he happened to have like a front row seat for him and his kids, and
nice.
They even got to meet one of the mascots, and one of the athletes came over and was hanging out with him. So,
well, what's really cool is it's free for people to go check out. Like if you ever want to go up to Aspen and hang out and have something to do that's free, you can go stand at the bottom of those slopes and watch those athletes come off the jump, or, things of that nature. Now then there's, the VIP accesses and things of that nature that you then have to pay for. But buddy of mine and I went up there one year, kind of hung out and checked out the festivities and stuff. I will say, if you're going to go up and you actually want to see things happening, like the athletes on their runs and stuff, and not just like all of a sudden they're coming over the last jump and they're doing a bunch of flips in the air, you want to see more than that, buy a lift ticket. And just ski down next to it, ride the lift up and watch it overhead, or buy the VIP access if you don't want to ski or anything, and check out some of the things that are what the extreme sports world started with, but a lot of skiers and snowboarders consider second nature as far as the sport itself is concerned. So that's supposed to feel for the X Games.
Let's see. Did we want to talk LeBron?
So I'll talk it in this sense. The overreaction from him on a terrible non-call was absurd to me. Just wild. Dude was acting like he just lost the NBA Finals on one of the worst calls ever known to man. Not that flagrant. But on that note, we'll be talking a lot more basketball here in a couple weeks. Believe me, that's what I grew up loving. Obviously football too, but love basketball. So we'll talk a lot more and really kind of dive into how the season's been going, where it's going forward. But that non-call was bad.
I will say when I first saw it, it's in real time. It's not bad in real time. And then you slow it down, you get a little bit better angle of it, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. It's
what makes it not look bad in real time? This is why it looked not bad in real time. Because LeBron's so strong, it still looked like it was a regular-ish layup shot type thing. So it didn't look like his arm got hacked. And that's what threw off the shot. Because LeBron is just so big and strong that
right.
He was able to make it still almost in, regardless of the fact that he was getting hammered onto that shooting hand.
And it's definitely a foul. Again, when I saw it real time, I didn't like it. Wasn't completely blatant until they showed to me when they slowed it down and then they showed it, and I was like, oh yeah, definitely a foul.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. What?
But yeah,
Kamani, hit us up before you got to run. What do you got for us, sir?
That was awful reaction from LeBron. So,
yeah, it was a little bit dramatic, to say the least.
I mean, we're not LeBron guys to begin with, so those are things that I'm just like. I mean, it just kind of shows his character to me, but I get it. He's going through a tough season. That team is horrible.
Well, maybe he should have not had him trade away all that young talent that could have been there playing with him.
Yeah, that I saw. I don't know where the tweet came from, or maybe it was KCP for the Nuggets that actually said maybe they shouldn't have traded away all that young talent that they had, and they would still be kicking ass.
Well, dude, I mean, when you think about now, Lonzo Ball has been off injured. Brandon Ingram has also been off injured. But, them in street clothes, how's that any different than Anthony Davis street clothes himself? Mr. Street Clothes to you, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Street Clothes.
I think Street Clothes played tonight, actually.
Yeah, him and LeBron sat last night. They're both playing tonight. So he's been back for a little bit now. But I don't. Well, we'll get into it more, but overall,
yeah, Davis has got 31 minutes.
Yeah, he's been back. He's been playing. Where I was going with the LeBron thing, though, and why I wanted to bring it up, is officiating in the NBA has been notorious for issues, right? Issues. There's a well-documented case of an official going to prison for being part of a gambling association. Illegal, obviously. And he documents in a book of, how he did things and how he tried to help shape points and manipulate games. And he talked about how he's not the only one that was doing it and this and that and the other. So real bad call. That leads me into the NFL. There's been a lot of talk this year of officiating. Hasn't been great. Hasn't been awful. This weekend, though, these playoffs as a whole, but this weekend really put a spotlight on things. And There is a lot of people talking about the officiating, but that's something that shouldn't be mentioned.
It's definitely a sore subject right now. NFL rigged. I think it had hashtag NFL rigged 45,000 mentions on Twitter Sunday.
There's a lot, man.
I've talked it through with a couple folks. At the end of the day, being completely honest, again, I mean, obviously in the 49er game, there were a couple blown calls in that game, but you would have had to have so many blown calls to make up for not having a quarterback. Like the 49ers basically played without a quarterback.
Oh, that was
unfortunately.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. But I'm just talking officiating as a whole. Here's where I'm going with this. With how often the NFL officiating gets mentioned as being awful, for lack of a better word, why does the NFL not employ these guys year round? Put them on a salary, put them on a payroll,
no idea,
put them
man.
year round. In the off season, they can be doing different camps around high school and college just to keep their kind of, wits about them, if you will, when it comes to calling a game. And then NFL season starts rolling around. You can be part of mini camps. You can be part of, obviously, training camps like they usually are. Be watching film, be helping each other, be grading yourselves. Like, it makes no sense to me why they're not doing everything they can, the NFL being they, to help put the best product on the field and not have this be a reason things go bad.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kamani. The NFL is stingy. They do not like giving up their money. That's for sure. Oh,
I mean, you wouldn't have to pay him that much more than what you're already paying him. It'd be a drop in the bucket. They already make good money.
And it's the same with the NBA. One of the big issues is consistency. You just don't see the consistency, and it's also the same in baseball. Like in the NFL, they know the refs that call the most holding penalties. They know the refs that call the most PIs. They know that before they go into the game, and the same with Major League Baseball. You know which umpire calls, strikes close, or if it's up and high, he's going to call it a strike. Like,
don't get me started on the baseball thing right now, Pinky. We got plenty of time to get started on baseball.
I'm just saying it's one of the common themes
robot
in
umpires
sports.
are coming. Baseball. I told you it was coming. It needs to be happening. Get ready for it because it's coming. It's already AAA this year.
Obviously, while the Avalanche have been good the last couple of years, I've gotten more and more into hockey, and I've watched the Avs. I've watched other hockey games since I get it on ESPN Plus. I don't see the refs being an issue in hockey. Like, that's one of the sports I haven't. I mean, their review is awesome.
You definitely don't hear about them being talked about as much as you do the other sports. That's for sure. I'll give you that.
I haven't seen anything that I'm like, oh, that's an egregious call. Again, they've got some subject calls like too many men on the ice, obviously from last year, or you can have like offsides.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you remember, but
too many men.
Offsides, icing. Was that a penalty? Was that not a penalty? Like, there's a couple of those out there, but nothing like they're on point. And I don't know if the other sports can take anything away from hockey refs, but they seem to have their stuff together.
They do. That they do.
I do like the one thing I did notice from the officiating this weekend, and I also noticed it a little bit throughout the season. I do like the quick call where New York can get on the buzzer without you having to waste a challenge.
The amount of replay time that's spent in any sport is ridiculous usually. That is a good, very much so thing that was needed.
So as that process gets better and better, that could help eliminate the need for a coach to challenge if they can continue to get, faster in the process. But obviously,
you'd like to hope that, as long as they've been doing replay, they could streamline the process a little bit.
I'm trying to remember which play I saw one play that the quick call, the bookie. I do like my betting. I do. I did not do well this weekend. Thanks, Brock Purdy. Thanks, Joe Burrow. Appreciate you.
Oh boy,
sore subject.
That was a fun group chat to be a part of this weekend.
I'm having to grind my way back up. I have to get back to where I was at one point in the playoffs, or
you boys
the
are
wife's
about
going to be really
start
mad at me,
and things are going to go bad.
This week on DraftKings they're offering those 10-point. If you're the team you pick money line gets up by 10 points, you win. I won last night. I put money on the Nuggets tonight. If they get up by 10 at some point, I win that bet automatically. I'm just trying to grind. Just put the grind in. Caleb to show off. Yeah. He's kind of full of himself sometimes.
Confidence, baby. It's just confidence. Self-love. That's all.
So, again, I know the folks are really reaming the refs about the Chiefs-Bengals game. Overall, and I think my buddy Andy said it best, like, at the end of the day, the Bengals choked. And they had every chance to win that game. None of the refs missed calls. None of those overall came down to causing the Bengals to lose. The Bengals just did not.
I mean, they had their opportunities to make plays. Like, yeah, exactly. Had their opportunities to make plays and capitalize on any of the plays.
A lot of folks. I pay attention to the Chiefs, obviously, with my best friend being a Chiefs fan and being a Broncos fan, and I hate the Chiefs. Chris Jones was just unblockable.
Oh my!
They had nothing for him. Nothing. They had nothing for Chris Jones. It was. I'm like, double team that guy.
They're down some offensive linemen again. That must be the Bengals' new MO going forward.
As soon as they saw Chris Jones lined out at defensive end against the backup right tackle, who has a hard time blocking to begin with, it should have been like, Joe, roll left. Chris Jones is coming from your right. Roll left, son. Like,
yeah, then you should have been telling Joe Mixon, chip. Hayden Hurst, throw another chip on him on his way by. We're going to make sure he gets hit by multiple dudes every time.
Throw a hip into him, whatever you got to do. Like, do not let this guy get in the backfield.
And then Joe Burrow was just a little bit off. Not as accurate as he can be. And, some of that plays into offensive line and not having time and things of that nature. But he was also just off.
But he was a little off, but I also blame the offensive coordinator. If you don't have 5 seconds to throw the football down the field, let's do shorter routes, quick passing. You have 3 great wide receivers. You can't tell me you can't scheme those guys up within 5 or 7 yards. I think
a couple
you can.
Good pass catching running backs, a good tight end. Like, there's definitely ways to get at least a couple of those guys on some short intermediate routes open.
You can run the ball on the Chiefs.
Well, that was the thing that really blew my mind is they just didn't even look like they wanted to try to run the ball because Joe Mixon should have had over 100 yards and a couple touchdowns. Easy.
I mean, I will say, like, the run defenders, when if they, basically take up the blockers, Willie Gay and Nick Bolton running sideline to sideline is tough to run on when you run outside. So you really have to run right at them. You have to run right at that.
You have to be consistent with it and wear it down into the second half that you're going to make your money on that. You can't be expecting to come out of the gates rolling. You got a phenomenal running back and you got a downgraded offensive line. It's easier to run block a majority of the time than it is to pass block, especially when Chris Jones is one of the dudes you're trying to pass block. So, run at him. Force him to have to defend the run. Force him to really be constantly hit on by multiple guys being pushed around backwards and things of that nature, so that by the second half, even when it does come to passing plays, he doesn't have that same burst that he otherwise would have. And they didn't do any of that.
Yeah, And Burrow, you could tell the hits were getting to him because he was it was off, like you said. But I think a lot of that was because they got 4 sacks in his first 9 snaps or passing downs, and then they went 30 snaps without it. Like he got into a groove, but I think by the end he just he wasn't the same. So it was crazy to see that. I just so congrats to the Chiefs. Congrats to Mahomes, the face of the NFL.
Yeah,
Congrats
let's talk about the Chiefs for a second because Mahomes, he is him. That guy. Damn. I high ankle sprains suck, and I've had more than I would like to remember, and they are awful. And for him to be able to go out there the way he was, and obviously limping around on it, and still being up that touchdown pass he had to MVS blew my mind.
And MVS caught it. MVS had a game, like he had not played well the whole season, and he picked like the moment they needed him to play really well.
Good for him.
So he played well. Yeah, Mahomes is definitely that dude, and I was shocked. Like all the Bengals needed to do was bring pressure.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They tried to rely on their 4-man rush, and they let him sit back in the pocket, and he kept finding the open guy. And
how do you not just double Kelsey on every play? I don't understand.
I mean, they did a pretty good job on Kelsey for the most part. Like
9 go for crazy like 97 and a tud is not doing very well.
I mean, it didn't seem like that much overall. So I don't know. He didn't go crazy. Like I'm traumatized because every time he plays the Broncos, he's like 11 for 150 and 2 tuds. So like that's what I am used to. So anytime he does less than 100 yards, I'm like, oh yeah, you held him in check. You're good. Like,
look, I also think they might have found a running back finally. Pacheco looks like he's got an explosive burst that they can really let loose out of the backfield.
Yeah, serious, man. It's Andy Reid, man. It's Andy Reid. Oh.
Hey, when he's had a running back he likes, still let that running back go over 1,000 yards and get enough touches to be
for the season,
a really good part of the offense.
But he has times where he just forgets that he has them all together. So.
Well, sometimes, but I think Pacheco is a guy he really likes and could be that Brian Mitchell type, Shady McCoy type guy that he lets loose. To be honest with you, and that only helps Mahomes, longevity for his career, his health, and him being a little bit more dangerous, possibly.
But the Andy Reid, man, I mean, he's definitely putting himself in that list of coaches. Like he does have Mahomes, which there's a lot you can do with that, but he's absolutely played to his strengths.
But to be fair to Andy Reid, to say that he drafted him, he wanted him. You know what I mean? Like, so people can say he's got Mahomes, but he made sure he got Mahomes. Like, so let's keep that in mind. He went out of his way to go and draft him and get him and be on that team. So
thanks a lot, Buffalo.
Hey, Andy Reid needs some credit there because it's not like he just, was hired to be the coach with a really young up-and-coming quarterback and he's done great things with him. He's helped that up-and-coming young great quarterback become a really great quarterback. What about the NFC side? I know you briefly mentioned it, but how are you feeling over there with the Niners-Eagles game?
It was such a – so at the end of the day, I picked the Eagles to win. Or I bet on the Eagles to win. So I had that right. I still think they win that game. But that 49ers defense for the first half was locked in, man. And they were making it tough on the Eagles. It'd be nice. It'd just be nice to see that game with Brock Purdy healthy the whole time. He got hurt on the first series. After that, man, it was done.
It was
Josh Johnson is not that dude.
The injury is severe, so he's going to be out a little while. But I told you, I thought the Eagles, and I had said it a couple weeks back, they might be the best defense in the NFL. And you told me it's definitely the 49ers. And I said, well, the Eagles fully healthy could rival them. And you're like, yeah, if they're fully healthy, maybe, possibly. And I think we saw that. And they got to Purdy early, often, and quick. And unfortunately, he got injured. But I think you were going to see that the whole game, regardless of whether or not he got hurt. And I told you I felt like that was going to be the game that finally caught up to him. The Eagles are going to be able to do something because they had enough weapons on that defense that could do different things. Pressure from the inside middle, pressure from the outsides, pressure from that second level. They've got some good secondary. They can put things in there that Purdy isn't ready for, and they did that, obviously. Now, I'm not saying Purdy was playing bad before he got injured. I think he was like 3 for 3 for like 29 yards or something like that. So by no means.
No, he got hurt on like the third snap. I'm pretty sure he got hurt on like his third drop, like his third snap of the game.
Hang on, real quick. I got it here. Let's look here. He was 4 for 4 for 23 yards. I apologize.
Correct. That's what he ended up with. But I think he was like he hit his first pass, and then he got hurt.
He only threw one pass after he came back.
He threw a couple, but they were like checkdowns, or they weren't like they didn't go anywhere.
Okay. Well, anyways, I'm not trying to say Brock Purdy was playing bad. I just thought that was the game that was going to catch up to the 49ers and him being a rookie. And
I mean,
obviously, I didn't think he'd get hurt and they'd have to play without a quarterback for basically the whole game, and it would be not a game after that. But I think the Eagles' offense started kind of quieting the crowd a little bit on that whole. They had a cupcake schedule. They played the Giants, and then they played 49ers with no quarterback. That offense still could run the ball and do some things that are going to be an issue for Kansas City big time.
Yeah, that'll be next week when we talk a little bit more about that. But we'll go into the Super Bowl preview next week. I mean, but still, I'm just saying. Eagles were probably feeling a little bit slighted, right? 49ers have been on a roll. They'd won 10 games in a row. And the Eagles were like, no, we're at home. We're still number one. And we're going to beat that ass. And that's what they did. So
Jalen Hurts is a special dude.
I'm hats off to Nick Sirianni. I thought that dude was going to be a turd of a coach. And then they're in the Super Bowl.
You did. So, you did. You also thought Jalen Hurts couldn't play quarterback.
I did. And I said I thought he must have went to the same school that Josh Allen went to. Because somehow those dudes like figured out how to be a lot more accurate with the football.
I think Jalen Hurts has always been a lot better at throwing the ball than people give him credit for. And I think he kind of proved a little bit of that when he went to Oklahoma. That's part of the reason he went there after his Alabama days, so he could throw the ball around and kind of show that he can do that. But he is just growing, and he's only going to get better. And now
obviously,
a whole off week to get healthy and make sure that shoulder feels as good as it possibly can this time of year.
He's a pretty big weapon. I mean, he has the most rushing touchdowns in a season of a running or a quarterback in general. So as long as he still has that threat and he can throw accurate to all the weapons he has, it's hard to stop, man. Especially
anybody who has a quote-unquote running quarterback that wants to throw the ball should be looking at the Eagles' offense and blueprinting that.
Yeah, sure. We agree. Huzzah!
Cheers, sir.
Cheers. Finishing up the bottle of Four Roses. I'm going to have to get some more.
Nice. I got some Santan, some Arizona Distillery. Not too shabby. Kamani, the only thing you need to be doing when you mention the Lakers on our show is to let us know that they lost to the Knicks in overtime. Otherwise, we don't really care.
That's probably true. We are not the big LeBron fans.
I got all the respect in the world for LeBron. I'm not a Lakers dude. First of all, they took over the Pepsi Center pretty heavy. You saw the bandwagon come out real hard when we were playing them in the Western Conference Finals back in the early 2000s against Melo and Chauncey and Kenyon Martin and all those guys. And being at those games and being a part of that crowd and seeing that many Lakers fans in Colorado and realizing that there's more Californians in this state than you realize. And then on top of that, to realize how hard and terrible that Lakers bandwagon is. I don't do the Lakers, not even a little bit. Now, let me some Shaq, let me some Kobe, some MJ, some all the way back, okay? All the way back. Jerry West and all the guys. Love them. But I don't root for the Lakers, not even a little bit. So get that trash out of here unless you're telling me they lost. Then
I rooted for them when they had Shaq. Like, Shaq was my dude, so that was my squad back in the day. But after he left, I was like, Kobe's all right. Paul Gasol's all right. But, just like, whatever. It's the Lakers.
You stick with us,
team
we got plenty to discuss when it comes to basketball here after the Super Bowl ends. I'll get my basketball fix on, and we'll discuss plenty of that.
So, pretty interesting to see the Eagles and the Chiefs. Both teams Andy Reid's coached. Was a fun storyline. The Kelsey brothers playing each other.
Another good storyline.
Is a good storyline. The
first two black quarterbacks to start against each other in a Super Bowl.
That's a good storyline. Technically, if I'll be honest, if Jalen Hurts wins, that's the first running to me. That's one of the first real running quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl. If he wins, based on how much he ran the ball this year, and he threw really well as well, that would be that would finally put it to where, hey, you could still draft these guys that can run the ball, and if you put them in the right offense, they can be successful. So we haven't had it happen yet, so we'll see.
I'll agree with you that we haven't had it happen. I disagree with you when it comes to you can't win with those guys. I also don't necessarily like the term running quarterback when it comes to guys like Hurts and Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields. I think it's just a weapon they have that other guys don't. And the fact that they're able to use it and exploit it, they shouldn't be downgraded for it. If they're not throwing the ball, to me, that's on the offensive coaches.
I do, again, as we've discussed, when those legs start to slow down a little bit and they have to be pure pocket passers, I think that's going to hurt their game.
I understand where you're coming from there, and we don't have a lot of examples to see what that looks like just yet. I don't think they ever slow down enough to not be able to get out of trouble. So I don't think they ever have to become pure pocket passers. But yes, the consistency in the passing game would have to improve for some of them to have a more productive long-term career, if you will. So I could agree with you there.
So we'll see. Lots of good stuff. This is the down week. This is the Pro Bowl week. I think Thursday is when the half of the
I don't know. They're doing
challenges
something weird because they're showing it like the skills contest is happening Thursday or something, and they're going to do it again as part of the actual game on Saturday. Or
there's the flag football game and a couple other.
I will be watching because I've said I thought a flag football game would be fun with this kind of talent and these guys. I always said that could be fun because the Pro Bowl was a joke. So this is either going to flop real hard or it's going to be halfway entertaining and worth keeping.
I want them to keep doing the cool quarterback one where you've got moving targets and you've got
dude,
baskets
they used to do
throw into.
The farthest throw. They'd have the blue chalk on the football. Is that what you're talking about? And they'd have to get them on those bullseyes that moved around and stuff. Yeah, that'd be cool if they brought that back. That was great.
I love that, man.
I would be so down. But that's what
back
we
when
said
you had
needs
it.
to happen for a while now. So
The last couple of years, the one they've been doing is pretty good. They've got like targets in the corners, and then they've got targets up high. They've got targets kind of holes that they can throw the ball through.
I didn't like. I thought it was stupid that they had the corner out there trying to block it. Like, I thought that was lame. I get they're trying to experiment a little bit, but you know, don't be stupid about what you're trying to accomplish here.
I think it's cool. It's in Vegas. Obviously, I don't need a reason to go to Vegas, but that gives me an extra one. So I'm cool with that. I love people watching. I love the food in Vegas. I don't really go for the gambling myself. Probably because I don't have enough money to just like be like, if I lose it, I lose it.
I mean, let's be honest. Vegas is our kind of town. Sports, they're big for that, right? The gambling and everything else. So if you want to watch some sports, Vegas is the place. Nonsense.
Dude.
I mean, is there a better city in the world than Vegas to get some nonsense in?
We have to get a weekend at Circa together, man.
Yeah. And then whiskey obviously flows in Vegas. So, I mean, that's, right up our alley there. We should definitely see what we can do about getting out there for something.
Oh, man, that Circa hotel they built.
Be out there for that Raiders game. Let's figure this out.
If I could find a way to get decent tickets, I would, man. But that game is
get
those
some
games are
media
hard to
passes.
get to, man.
Get some comp hotel rooms. We just have to pay for our flights. Let's make this happen. Business expense. We'll write it off on our taxes. Come on, we can be smarter.
There we go.
Let's do this.
There we go. I need to start doing that. Right off the draft trip every year.
Yeah.
Kamani, you're always welcome, bro.
Yeah, come on out. Come on out. We'll just make it a giant sports nonsense and whiskey via MHRT network party, big time.
We can do a fantasy draft out there.
Hell yeah.
Have a good old time, man.
Fabulous.
Let's see. So
I think
that's about it for the games.
Leave it there. We'll do basically the whole next week on the Super Bowl. We will run that down. We will break that down. And then, people will have basically a week to see, if we have any idea what we're talking about or if we just spit a bunch of nonsense out of our ass and everything we said came the exact opposite truth.
I'm the guy with the nonsense out of my ass. Definitely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've earned that a lot. So.
Well, we'll run that down next week. That'll pretty much be the whole episode next week, probably. Because, there's plenty to break down. Maybe we can get some surprise appearance guests to come join us. We'll see what happens.
There we go. Now we're talking.
We'll see what happens. Before we go, though, there was some baby news over the last week here that's happened as far as some coordinators that have moved on and have been hired. I think we can mention those real quick. And then there was some really big news that I think we can discuss a little bit before we head off.
Frank Reich got hired.
Frank Reich got hired by the Panthers. That was a big surprise to me, to be honest with you.
I was pretty surprised. I kind of shocked by that one, to be honest.
Not sure what to think about that one. It's going to be very interesting to see if he
could be like the hangover from Matt Rule. Like, we gave this guy who had never coached in the NFL like a crap ton of money, and it just went down in flames.
Yeah, kind of like Ron Rivera being with the Commanders is kind of settling the rocking ship wave ocean and moving forward and trying to just get somebody to calm everything down a little bit before you go get who you really want. Maybe.
Right.
Nathaniel Hackett, obviously, everybody knows. We talked about it a little bit. He's with the Jets now as their offensive coordinator. If that's not to get Aaron Rodgers, then the Jets are the Jets, and they will forever be the Jets and awful because that's a terrible hire.
I love their kudos to Nathaniel Hackett. That dude could have sat on the couch,
landed on his feet.
His
no doubt
$5 million, right? Instead, he's going to work. So I think it's still an offset, so he's still going to get some of that $5 million, but or whatever it was he was due to get paid for next season. He'll still get a good chunk of that, but it offsets whatever his coordinator amount is. I just if it's not to get Aaron Rodgers, what are the Jets doing? I mean, did they not see what I thought we were getting was creativity, and what we got was a guy who looked lost.
Agreed.
Like you have
easy.
A lot of
we're
the
just
offense
talking
got
about
hurt.
the Jets. We're not. Yeah, easy. So the Jets.
I don't know if that's the best way to go there, but there's so many offensive coordinator openings right now. It's crazy.
Kellen Moore gets let go by Dallas and gets hired immediately by the Los Angeles Chargers.
They were like,
so
yep,
that's either going to look really great for San Diego, dang it, really great for Los Angeles and really bad for Dallas, or it's going to look like Dallas was right in the decision they made. But there's not going to be an in-between there. It's either going to be a huge win for the Chargers or a bust. And if it's a win, which I have this odd feeling it's going to be a win for the Chargers, and him with Justin Herbert and some of those weapons that the Chargers have, I think that's going to be really good for them, honestly.
I mean, obviously he's getting an upgrade at quarterback. Probably an upgrade at running back as well. Upgraded offensive line. Well, the offensive lines you could debate are close.
Yeah.
The skill positions, I mean, CeeDee Lamb's definitely better than anything that the Chargers have on their roster right now. But when you put this roster, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald
when
Everett
they're on
together,
the field, they are dangerous and huge weapons if they're on the field.
Good night, baby. Love you. So, let's see. That was a shock to me that he got picked up like so quickly.
Me too, a little bit,
quickly.
but it made sense. Once I saw that it was the Chargers, that made perfect sense considering what they wanted to do. They barely moved the ball downfield at all or pushed it downfield. Kellen Moore will do that. So I think the stars align there for both of them really well.
So hopefully that works out for them, but they still suck.
Easy, buddy. But yeah. All right, big news, Pinky. Let's discuss it a little bit here before we call it a night and have to calm ourselves back down.
D'Amico Ryans got hired.
Hey!
Yeah, he took the Texans job.
So this is what I'll say about that. Remember how I said that was the dude I wanted the Broncos to go after? If you openly want the Texans job, there's something wrong with you. I don't know what it is. I'm not judging you. There's just something wrong with you that you need to get looked at. And I'm glad he's not the Broncos head coach.
Look,
You got shit crazy to want the Texans job. I don't care if you played for him your whole career.
There's a couple things that I understand. His wife's from Houston. They're currently building a house in Houston. He played for Houston. Those things all align. They have quite a bit of salary cap. They do have some draft pick capital. He can build the team in his image, right? So there's a lot to like from that perspective. The problem is you still got Nick Caserio at GM, who hasn't proven he knows what the hell he's doing to begin with.
He hasn't done anything wrong either, though, in my opinion. He just hasn't had anything to work with until this offseason, and now he's going to be able to finally show if he's capable.
They lucked into that Deshaun Watson stuff because if he didn't get all those allegations, they don't trade him. They stick by we are not trading you.
I honestly believe that if Cleveland hadn't paid him, that would have gone a little hot cold for another week or two, and those other allegations would have come out, and he would have been done. They would have been done. So Cleveland did them a huge favor for sure. And then the fact that Cleveland sucked pretty much and made sure that those draft picks were more valuable, that always helps as well.
Absolutely. So I think that's what was on the good
side.
So
all those things are true. It's still you're playing for that owner. And that owner has found a way to make sure that things are ruined continuously. Now, I will say Bill O'Brien had some good teams. And if they had never let him be GM, they might have gotten to an AFC championship game. They were playing some good ball. They had the Chiefs down 17-0 or 21-0 or something like that in that playoff game.
24-0.
24-0. So they had some good teams there, especially with J.J. Watt and some of those defenses. Obviously DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson and those guys. Once Bill O'Brien decided to be GM and go Bill Belichick, he proved he wasn't good at that. He was only good at head coaching, and that's where the problem came in. So, yes, I guess it could be a really good situation. I'm just bummed that he's not a Bronco and he went to Houston instead. Also, what does that say about the Broncos situation that guy turned down the Broncos job for the Houston job, regardless of whether or not you're from there or your family's there or you're building a house or whatever? The idea is to win.
So
and the Broncos as an organization as a whole win.
That's the other thing that could have come into it. I don't know, but there are a lot less expectations in Houston than there are in Denver. There are a lot less expectations. Like you don't have to win for your first 2 seasons, and I think he would still be looked at as he's doing a good job. Right now, like any coach that comes in has to win in Denver. Period. Like there's nothing else. You have to win.
Yeah.
They're tired. We're tired of losing. Like that's it. So high expectations. I don't know about that, Kamani.
Neither of those.
Jimmy G.
This is why they're gonna have Young, Levis, or Stroud, and regardless of who out of those 3 they have, they're starting from day one.
And if D'Amico learned anything from being in San Francisco, he maybe has picked up a little bit of how Kyle creates an offense to, help the quarterbacks. I mean, besides Josh Johnson.
But there's also an all-pro offensive line, arguably the best left tackle in the game. Oh, and I forgot to mention the weapons at running back, wide receiver, and tight end are also elite. So
there's some work to do. There's some work to do.
I don't remind me who Houston has to get the ball to again.
Dameon Pierce.
Right.
They did show that he can run the football.
He can. I will give him that. He can run the ball, but boy, not looking good.
I don't see any. No veteran in Texas in Houston, Kamani. No veteran in Houston. Yeah, it's going to be a rookie.
All right, Pinky. Now to end the night. Finally, just go ahead. And now that the elephant has fully engrossed the room,
Sean Payton, baby.
Let me hear it.
Going to the Broncos.
Let me hear what you got. What do you got for us? How you feeling? What are you thinking?
I mean, I would have absolutely preferred Ryan's as well. Young guy, uppercomer, great on defense. You don't have to give up anything for him. Contracts. I mean, it's not my money, so the contract really doesn't matter.
Sure.
But again, you're not spending a lot on a coach, right?
Shanahan tree.
Right. I just think there's a lot of good things. I think he'll be a good head coach. So I was high on D'Amico Ryans. Sean Payton, to me, obviously he's a good coach. I mean, he's been around. He's put a lot of good things on the field. I mean, he did win a lot of games with, Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, and hell, they even had a different quarterback in there at some point. So he can win football games. And at this point, we just need we didn't give – if you have 3 horrible coaches in a row that you hired, that you made the decision to hire, like Peyton's at least an actual head coach.
You still gave up too much. You still gave up too much.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, especially when you don't have draft picks again.
Hey, I love my draft picks, and I do. I do.
Here's the only reason you didn't give up too much is if Sean Payton can make Russell Wilson an MVP candidate next year and they're in contention for the AFC Championship game somehow. If he can't do that, then you gave up way too much.
Lost 9 games, less than 3 points. So I think he can help turn it around. All you got to do is all we had to do was get just manageable play. Not even great play with what we were doing. Now, what does Sean Payton do on defense? I know a lot of us would like to bring Ejiro Evero back. I don't know if that's on the table. Looks like
I would be surprised if that happens.
It looks like talks are they are talking to Vic Fangio.
He just signed with Miami.
He did not.
What?
He did not sign. He did not actually sign.
They were willing to make him the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. I thought that was a done deal.
No, he committed, but that's been all over Twitter for like the last 2 days. He committed, but they have not actually signed a contract.
Oh God, no! Don't bring Fangio.
So,
no. I would love to see Evero stay, but don't bring Fangio back.
I don't. Evero took what players Fangio had, and yet we played better last season. Like,
Kamani, that's my thoughts exactly. Like, I didn't. Now that was him as a head coach, but I didn't hear any of the defensive guys coming to his rescue, being like, "Nah, man, he's money. We got to keep Fangio around." No. I don't need that. Peyton, that would be a terrible hire by Peyton if that's what he's going to do. Which then Peyton and Peyton times two both look awful, and we're screwed for years to come. Unless the Wallens just want to keep throwing money at the problem until it gets right, then they can do this year in and year out, and I'm cool with that too.
Obviously, if they do get Fangio, the defense was still good under Fangio for the most part. I just think it's better over Rivera. So I think your defense will still be good. It just maybe it's not as good with Fangio there. So the defense doesn't take a step back or doesn't take a gigantic.
The defense should be fine regardless of who they bring in to be the defensive coordinator, in my opinion.
Well, come on in, get your Bears gear ready, bro. Get your Bears gear ready. I mean, it's out there on Twitter. I mean, even Dave Logan brought it up on his show tonight. So,
Kamani, I'm a big Fields guy. I could hop on that bandwagon with you, my guy.
You're welcome. Go on over there. You're welcome.
I'm on the fence with Peyton. I'm very much on the fence with Peyton. I think a lot of his success was due to the fact that he had a Hall of Fame top tier quarterback. I don't think he won as many games as you like to believe he did without Breeze. I think that's kind of the narrative, but I don't think it's as good as people would like to think it is if they saw it.
His worst season's been 7-9. So
he always had really good defenses there as well.
He did.
People don't talk about that enough. I think they should have had 2 Super Bowls. I think the debacle in Minnesota, I think they would have won that year.
Well, the debacle in Minnesota and the Rams game.
I was going to say the following year with the PI with the Rams. I don't know if they were as good that year, but they still got screwed and should have had an opportunity.
Well, I mean, they would have been in the Super Bowl. They would have played the Pats.
I know. I'm saying they would have had an opportunity. I just think they were better that year that the Minnesota debacle happened. So I think they could have had one more easily. So I think he's a good coach. I don't know if he's a great coach. And with that being said, I don't think any coach is worth a first and a second. Especially when you don't basically have draft picks now for 2 years. But
I think they're going to focus more on free agents this year.
I know, and we can try to pay him and stuff, but it's just thin. So I don't know if a coach is worth that. I'm on the fence with this right now. I will decide how I feel about this probably closer to the season. To be honest with you, wait and see how the off season is handled, how the draft is handled. How Peyton handles the offseason. I'll wait and see that stuff.
I'm pretty confident the offense can't get worse. So, because I think Peyton is at least a competent offensive mind.
That's what I'm worried about. And that's why I'm on the fence, is his offenses were getting a little stale ever so slightly now before he left. So I'm hoping he took the year off to kind of study and grow. If he didn't, then the Broncos are in for a real world of hurt. If he did, then we're going to be golden. Long term, hopefully. But it's going to be a lean next couple of years regardless.
I'm not even worried about long term. I'm worried about we need to be I'm tired of going into a game being we've got no chance in this game.
Pinky, long term is like 3 years in the NFL. I'm not talking like 10.
Yeah, he's got to be good in the next 2 years, man. He doesn't have.
Well, no. Next year will be a struggle. I think we're just thin, and I think that's what this year showed.
I don't think it will.
I think it'll be a little bit of a struggle. I think the following year there'll be playoff contention.
You lost 9 games by less than 6 points. Like, if we kick a field goal in half of those games, we win.
Look,
like,
I told you before, I don't think the quarterback's the answer, and I think he's going to be a problem.
I don't. That's fine. I don't think the quarterback's the answer either, but that doesn't mean you can't win football games. Like, if you almost won most of those, again, 3 more points and we win those games, we're not that far off.
Good to me means you have a dark horse chance of getting to an AFC championship game. I don't think they'll be anywhere like that the next 2 years.
See, I'm not even worried about AFC championship game. I just want to make the playoffs. I don't really
No,
care
what's
about
the point of
that
making the playoffs if you know you're going to get routed like the Giants?
I just want to get in there, man.
I'd rather not make the playoffs and have a better draft pick.
That is true. The Generation X makes a good comment. Yeah, that's why I think we'll spend more time with free agency this year than we would normally do by trying to go after free agents. I just don't think
anybody wants to come play for the Broncos right now. I don't think people want to come play with Russell Wilson, to be honest with you. This isn't Peyton Manning where people are going to flock and take cuts to play here.
They don't have to take cuts. They're going to get cash up front, just like what this guy's saying. Signing bonuses don't go against your cap. So
you can only do so much in free agency if guys aren't willing to take a haircut, man. We got DeMarcus Ware because he was willing to take a haircut because Peyton Manning was here.
He didn't take a haircut. He got exactly what he was still under contract with Dallas. He got $12 million a year for an aging veteran for 3 years. He didn't take a haircut.
After that first season, he easily could have gone somewhere and made more.
He didn't take a haircut.
I'm not going to argue with this, Pinky. Plenty of those dudes took haircuts to stay with the Broncos because they knew they could win with Peyton Manning and they had a chance for a Super Bowl. Nobody's doing that for Russell Wilson.
All right, man. We'll see. It's 2 months away. Less than 2 months. It's a month and a half away.
And who do you have in the backfield? Who are you throwing to on the outside? Are your tight ends worth anything? Your offensive line needs more help than it's ever needed before. There's just a lot of issues that I don't see you can fix all those holes in just 1 or 2 years, especially without draft picks. That's the kicker. If you had draft picks, I would say done, but you don't. And to do all of that through free agency when everybody else is out there doing it through free agency too, that's just tough. It's just tough.
We'll see, man. A month and a half till free agency, 3 months till the draft. We'll see. And they still have a few. They still have 5 or 6 picks in the draft. They just don't have high ones. They'll turn those into 8 picks. So again, they're going to have to hit some gold. They're going to have to find some gold.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
No. They're going to have to find Quinn Miners in the 3rd, Draymond Jones in the 3rd. They're going to have to find, Caden Stearns in the 5th. Like they're going to have to find guys late. That's what's going to happen.
Hopefully they hit correctly. That's for sure.
So we'll see, man. I mean, it is what it is. Again, I don't think we can get any worse on offense. If we get any better on offense, we're winning, games. I mean, and Russell Wilson played his best games against the Chiefs. I mean, at least there's something to say about that. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom, my man. I don't think we're going to be AFC Championship, but at this point, I just want to see the playoffs.
I hate the playoffs if you know you're not going to win. Generation X Bronco Country. Yeah, they got plenty of money. You're missing my point here, my guy. And if you've ever listened to us before, if you do going forward, trust me, the salary cap don't mean nothing. And I'm the guy who says that all the time. And I've finally got Pinky to believe in it. You can make numbers work any way you want to. That's easy. Numbers can be manipulated easily, so your books can be cooked and you can have everybody you want. Those players are not going to want to come here when other teams are willing to pay them the same amount and those teams have opportunities to truly win. Plus, I honestly don't think anybody wants to play with Russell Wilson. I don't think they want to be on a team with that dude and have to deal with that issue of everything that comes with him on the team. I just don't. So it'll be interesting to see. I could be very wrong. This offseason could be really good for free agency for the Broncos. I don't have my hopes up, though. And we'll talk plenty about that down the road here. But I don't like giving up as much as we did for Sean Payton due to where the roster is already at. Could he change my mind real quickly? Yep, he could. He definitely could. He could do it before the season even starts. But it's going to be an interesting couple of years for the Broncos.
Can it get any worse? I don't think it can.
Man, I really want to agree with you, but
anything
I don't want to open my mouth
anything better than what I watched last season. Last season really hurt. So
God,
anything better than last season.
After that first game, as it was happening, I told you we're in for a long season. I was kind of being tongue in cheek. It turned out to be awful and true.
Yeah, if only you could have just told George Payton and the owners that.
Well, if they had listened to me 2 years ago, we wouldn't be in this position to begin with. So, let's not go down that road. Let's just not do it.
It's fine. They'd be back in that position anyways.
No, if we went down my road, we would be competing for a Super Bowl next year.
That dude sucks. No, we wouldn't.
Definitely.
We'd make the playoffs, I'd agree, but we wouldn't have been a contender.
We'd be competing for the Super Bowl next year if we went down my road, sir.
Nah, not at all. No.
All right. Final thoughts, my dude. Final thoughts.
Man, I don't know if I have any, man. Football season's almost over. It seems like it just started. Jayhawks won. Yeah. So
Big 12 is beast, dude. That Big 12 is nasty. They're gonna have probably 8 teams in the tourney.
It's tough, man. K-State plays well. Iowa State knows how to play well. Oklahoma, Texas,
Baylor, Texas Tech isn't even ranked, and they're dangerous. I mean, they are just loaded. Kansas State, just nasty.
Nuggets need to wake up, man. Of course, I put a bet on them, and they if they go up by 10 at any point, I win. They're down by 10. Come on.
Pinky, I've taught you. You've learned this. It's NBA. Give it some time. You'll be fine.
Kamani, I don't know where Bronco Bill's house is, but I'm sure it's a fun place. I bet it'll be a great party. I will probably spend the Super Bowl with my buddy Andy, just because it's the Chiefs. And somebody's got to root against them, right?
There you go.
Somebody's got to root against them.
There you go. Next week, we'll break down the Super Bowl. We'll give you our picks, score. We'll kind of tell you how we see it falling out. And then it's into the offseason. And there's plenty to talk about that we do in the offseason, but we'll get there and on to basketball and a little baseball here and there scattered in if we feel like it. Golf.
Go Eagles. That's right.
Things happen in the offseason that we talk about. So
say hi, Winnie.
Stick with us. I know we're just getting onto the MHRT network here. We are very happy to be here. We are stoked to interact with you guys and drop our knowledge on you, whether it's correct or incorrect. That'll be for you to decide. But on that note, go hang out with your loved ones. Spend that time with your family, friends, anybody you cherish or hold close and dear. Soak up those minutes when you can. Pinky, love you, buddy. We're out.
Love you guys. Thanks, Kamani. You be good, buddy.